Welcome everybody, this is Rick Helms and I'm here to welcome you to the iRacing late model tour at Lanier Raceway. This is a race that took place on February the 6th of 2014 in which I ran wire to wire in this one. The starting field looks something like this. I'm on the pole, Rick Helms, number 2 at 13.695 seconds lap time. Dennis Cafiero starting on the outside of the front row in number 5 and with a time of 14.152 seconds. Inside second row is Jacob Lang at 14.291 seconds in car number 3. Car number 1, Jeff Martin on the outside of the second row at 14.311. Matthew Bove is starting on the inside of the third row in number 11 at 14.352 seconds, and from then on we don't have lap times available, but Tyler Massey is starting on the outside of the third row in number 4. Inside the fourth row is Stephen Lyon in number 6. Outside is Austin Garrett in number 8, and last row is number 9 Travis Trevelyan and number 10 Joe Martin. We've just gotten the drive off from the beginning with the pace car. In iRacing, late model series racing, when the pace car pulls off the track, the leader is in control of the race, and I have a tendency to jump the start a little bit. It's frowned on in NASCAR, real NASCAR late model sportsman cars, to jump the start. In iRacing, you're perfectly welcome to do it as long as as long as the pace car is pulled off. So the pace car is about to pull off, and I am going to take a big jump as soon as the pace car pulls off and try and run into the lead here. This is Lanier Raceway in Flowery Branch, Georgia. It's right across the street from Road Atlanta in Flowery Branch. We've just gotten the green flag here, and I've already taken off. Now, I'd driven about 300 laps on this track, working on suspension changes, working on suspension modifications, because iRacing had just come out with a brand new tire model, which was kind of slippery. It was kind of difficult for the cars to stick in the first several laps. And I worked like crazy to get a combination that would allow me to go ahead and stick through turns 1 and 2 as soon as I dropped the green flag, which is one of the reasons I was able to pull away a little bit here. Now here I'm running in first place. Right behind me is Jacob Lang in car number 3. We pretty much pulled away from most of the field here right at the beginning. Things began to bunch up a little bit in just a few seconds as we began to get into lap cars down the road. As I mentioned before, Lanier Raceway is in Flowery Branch, Georgia. It's about a 1/3 mile track, very, very similar to Hickory Speedway in North Carolina, if you've ever been there. Banked somewhere between 8 and 12 degrees in the corners, so you've got a little bit of banking to help in cornering, but it is a very tight track, and you really never are going in a straight line here. There's not a real straightaway as such. As soon as you come off the corner, you arc out to the wall and then right back down into the corner again. So you're pretty much always turning one direction or another. This is the in-car from Jacob Lang's car number 3. He's following me in second place. Just to give you an idea of what it looks like from the in-cars themselves. Doing a very good job here of keeping up at this point, considering that he really is having to overdrive the car a little bit to do that. But it was kind of nice to be able to have him back there to give me a little competition here. Kind of enjoyed that. You notice that a little freezing here. Okay, this is looking back over my car, car number 2 again. Looking back over my car toward the back of the field, you can see that we just had to split a slower car. That car, I believe, was number 5 of Dennis Cafiero. But we had to split him going down the back straightaway, which allowed Jacob Lang to pull up a little bit closer to me. Now, right behind Jacob Lang is number 6, Stephen Lyon. They're going to have quite a race going on for a little bit there also. So things are settling in here now. We're about 8 to 10 laps into the race. You may notice that Jacob Lang's car, number 3, disappeared briefly. That's an input or continuity problem with his connection with iRacing. It didn't get rid of him entirely. He's just getting passed now by Stephen Lyon in number 6. And we're going to another view here, just taking a wide look at the track, give you an idea of how close things were over the first 15 to 20 laps. Very, very early in my career, I actually drove real race cars for about 28 years, but very early in my career I got to drive at Hickory Speedway in a limited sportsman car. Limited sportsman cars are a little bit slower than these late models that we show here. Limited sportsman cars usually have 6-cylinder motors, or at least they did back in the 1970s when I drove there. But they had 6-cylinder motors as opposed to the V8s that the late models have. Now this is the in-car camera from my car. And you can see, one of the things I'd like to point out here, because you'll see some other in-car shots, is that I made a real effort here to keep things very, very smooth. On the gas, off the gas, try not to twist the wheel too much in the corners, try not to get the rear end loose too much. That really is the fast way around this track. Trying to overdrive this track is a big mistake. If you try and dive too hard into the corners, turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, you will upset the car a little bit and it will hurt your lap time overall. So in these particular cars, it really does help to back off a little early, and that will enable you to get into the corner and also get back on the gas very, very quickly. Have a spin up ahead. Just missed that one. One of the things I wanted to note here, and that brings up a good point about iRacing late model series races. In the late model series races in iRacing, there are no caution flags. If you spin out or hit the wall, you're expected to hit a reset button and take a tow to the pits, or get out of the way as quickly as you possibly can. All the smoke you're seeing on the track now is because of the number 3 car, Jacob Lang, who was following me very closely there for a while, appears to have blown a motor, and he had to pull it down in the pits. So now the second place car here, you see the number 8 of Austin Garrett behind me right now. He just pulled back onto the track a minute ago. He's actually a lap down or so, and right behind him is number 6, Stephen Lyon, who is the second place car. We're going to do a little in-car camera here in just a moment from the number 11, the blue car that's behind Stephen Lyon. Number 11 is Matthew Bove, and you're going to see a little bit of a battle between the 8 and the 6 and the 11 there in just a second. The slow cars are giving me a little bit of an opportunity to pull out a bit of a lead here. I'm not going to keep it forever. Things will close back up in just a little bit because I have to avoid some slower cars too. But for right now, I've been able to pull out a really huge lead here just because of slow cars getting in the way of the other drivers. This again is from inside, I believe, Austin Garrett's car, number 8, who's following me. Again, I believe he's a lap down at this point, but he was keeping up with me pretty well. Despite my best attempts to keep the car as level and stable as I could, you can see that I do kick out the rear end just a little bit a couple of times in the corners, just to keep things interesting. I actually did drive a real late model sportsman car. Now Austin Garrett is pulling up here at number 8. He's going to allow the 11 and the 6 by. The 11 again is Matthew Bove, and the number 6 here is Stephen Lyon. And so we'll drive along here with Austin Garrett as he follows us. Now we're looking to the back here. Again, this is a chase cam looking over the top of my car back at the second and third place cars, along with a couple of lap cars there. As I mentioned, I did run a late model sportsman car for a while. I had one I drove at Concord Motorsports Park in North Carolina some time back, but I didn't do a great deal of racing in real late models, but I did race a lot of semi-modifieds on dirt, which were 6-cylinder dirt cars, and did race a limited sportsman car, a 6-cylinder limited sportsman car at Hickory and Metrolina once or twice. One of the things I've really noticed driving iRacing is that these cars are actually very, very similar in terms of horsepower and handling to what you'd find on the real track. What was really fun is with a good force feedback steering wheel like the Logitech G27 steering wheel and pedal set that I use, you can really get the feel of the track. You can really really get an idea of what it feels like to have the rear end kick out a little bit or have the front end push a little bit. Very, very realistic racing, considering that it is virtual and it's all on the computer. And everybody that I'm racing here on track is a real individual somewhere else in the world who's also racing from their own console in their office or in their home. So you want to be very careful not to get in people's way and mess them up, because you could really ruin somebody's points day. Just going by Joe Martin at number 10. He had a little bit of a problem in this race, was running pretty slow, so we'll see him a lot as we pass a lot of people. We're riding now again right behind number 8, Austin Grant, and we'll see a little bit of a mix-up here. Number 11 here gets turned around by the number 10 of Joe Martin. Number 11, of course, was Matthew Bove, and got into the number 8 of Austin Garrett, which left really the only competition I had, number 6, Stephen Lyon. And for the rest of the race, it'll be pretty much Stephen and me as we try and as he tries to catch me and I keep trying to run away from him so I can hold on to this wire-to-wire win here. Just noticed number 11, Matthew Bove, pulling into the pits there after that wreck. Going by Joe Martin again on the high side. Okay, going back to a wide shot here so you get an idea. It looks a little lonely out on the track right now. A lot of the cars have wrecked, and some of them blown up. We saw, of course, that number 3, Jacob Lang, blew his motor and wasn't able to continue. It looks like it's only me and Stephen Lyon out there, but there are other cars out there. They're just not showing up in the picture at the moment. It was still pretty busy out on the track at that point. One of the things I'd like to make a note of here is that if you're interested in getting involved in iRacing, there are lots of opportunities to do so. It's very, very easy to get involved. The iRacing program itself is it's a membership program. You do have to join, but oops, got a spin right here. That was number 5, as I recall, number 5, Dennis Capiero in the 5 car. But it's very easy to get involved in iRacing. It's a membership program. You join online. You do need a little bit it costs a little bit to get going, especially if you're going to have the right equipment. As I mentioned before, I use a Logitech G27 steering wheel, shifter, and pedal set. You can run with things like joysticks and the like, and game controllers. But really, to get the real feel of racing, now we're in the chase car, this chase camera on number 6, Stephen Lyon. To get a real feel for the sport, and get an idea of what it really feels like to get behind the wheel, you really need a wheel and pedal set. And for my money, it's a little pricey, but the G27 set is pretty hard to beat. I'm really enjoying it. So once you join up, you start with a rookie license, and this again, we're looking over Stephen Lyon, the top of Stephen Lyon's car, number 6. That's me off in the background heading into turn 1 right now, but getting ready to pick up some more traffic. I believe that's Joe Martin I was going by again. Once you join, you get a rookie license, and you start out, if you're running in the ovals, with either street stocks or Legends cars. If you're road racing, and there's an opportunity to do road racing on iRacing also, you start out in a Mazda MX-5 car. We're about to pop the wall there. Stephen Lyon trying to catch up, overcooked a little bit coming out of 4 and pushed up into the wall there. And one of the things I want to note here is that you advance through the ranks by getting safety ratings and what we call I ratings. I ratings are achieved by the strength of field that you're in and the position that you finish in. Your safety rating is determined by the number of times you don't spin or hit the wall or hit somebody else. And this is a great way to keep people honest, as it were, on the track itself. So we're about 3/4 of the way through the race here, about 45 laps into the 60-lap race. I'm pulling away here, but that doesn't mean it's going to stay that way for long, because in a minute I'm going to pull up on Joe Martin again on the back straightaway. It's going to look like he's pulling down on me, so I'm going to have to get out of the gas a lot, and that's going to allow Steven to get closer to me. And I believe it's around here, yeah. He pulls down, and I had to slow up a little bit to avoid running into it, and that gave Steven an opening to get up closer to me. And we kept about this distance between us for the rest of the race. This was my second win in iRacing. I previously won a street stock race at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The range of tracks you can run in iRacing is pretty amazing. You can run super speedways like Daytona and Talladega. You can run intermediate tracks, Charlotte, Texas, Atlanta, Rockingham, the D-type tracks. This is the last lap. White flag's out, and I'm headed now for my first wire-to-wire win in iRacing. Headed down the back straightaway, now into turns 3 and 4. And back around and bringing it home. It's a great feeling to do a wire-to-wire win like this, but you can do it too. Just need to join iRacing and give it a try. I decided I usually would pull off to the inside of the track somewhere, but this time I couldn't resist the urge to head on down to Victory Lane and just kind of bask in the glory of the win here. So this was the late model race at Lanier Raceway in Georgia on February the 6th of 2014. I hope you enjoyed it.